I'm a beast boy, call me Teen Titan. Give me Java, I might turn into a python. Pack a punch with a pistol. Whoa, bang, 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 that's a triple. Oh, mobbing, got into the city, mask on, Green Goblin. I'm a villain, you a sidekick, Robin. Keep it fitted with the G-Star denim.
It is 2026. There's a couple things I want to discuss here. Number one, we're going to talk about fitness, my fitness journey, what's been going on. So currently, I am in a little bit of a surplus. I just finished a very, very long cut and then ended off making my cut even longer by doing 75 hard. It did teach me one very, very important thing is how long I can actually adhere to a diet without starting to think of food all the time. And that time frame is 16 weeks. A little bit after the 16 weeks, I'd say around week 17, 18, all I could think about was food. I was hungry. I was just waiting for this process to be over. The goal is to compete, to step on stage. Most likely it will be men's physique. So this was a little bit of a dry run to see how long I can adhere to a diet, the training, keep a positive mindset, not need deloads, and essentially just how much can my body handle? Throughout that process, what I did during 75 Hard was I finished actually 2 books, and I also started reading the Bible. I wasn't always a Christian. I actually grew up in a South Asian Punjabi Sikh household, and not to go too much into it, but I became atheist as a teenager after seeing some things in the place of worship. We call it a gurdwara, that I used to go to really put me off religion altogether. Didn't really believe in God until the age of 26, 27. I started to kind of think about it a little bit more, and when I came to the conclusion that there is a God, I was agnostic. I didn't identify myself with any religion. I did not go back to Sikhi. And at the age of 28, I did end up cutting my hair simply because it was an identity that I really, really needed to change. I needed to make radical changes to my life. And the best way I saw fit for myself after many, many months of deliberating whether this would be the right decision or not, I did make the decision, and I can confidently say I probably should have done it a lot sooner than at the age of 28. One of the bigger things that I ended up doing in 2024 was actually quitting weed. So I have been sober and have not relapsed since October of 2024. And I am very proud of myself for that. And I will say that the one element that really helped me get through that was Jesus. Was me discovering Jesus. And it wasn't like this was a idea or concept that was put on me. What ended up happening was I actually ended up going to the doctor after quitting weed shortly, and I was going through withdrawals. So when I actually ended up going to the doctor for my withdrawals, he had the option to either put me on some sort of a drug to help me through the withdrawals. But you know what this guy said? He said, I need to go and pray. I need God. For somebody who profits off prescribing pharmaceuticals, my doctor told me to go pray. And that hit me like a brick. So I went home and I tried to listen to Ardas, Gurbani, which, if you're not familiar with, are the Sikh prayers. And I really did try. And I did not resonate with it. It did not help me. It didn't bring me peace of mind. Really, what it did was make me a little bit angry, because my mind just then went to when I was younger, being forced to go to the Gurdwara, and it really didn't work well for me. And so I started looking for answers, and I would see my mother-in-law's Bible sitting beside her armrest on the couch downstairs, and something just called me to pick the Bible up and start reading it. So as I was going through my withdrawals, I asked my wife if she could read the Bible for me. her mom ended up reading the Bible for me. She ended up reading the Bible for me as well, my wife. And almost instantly, I had this sense of peace come over me. My anxiety went away. I was able to eat. I was able to drink water again, right? A lot of questions that I had were answered. That being said, I have had a very clear head on my shoulders and a clear path to where I want to go in life. And so that brings me to my plans for the next year is to eventually compete in bodybuilding, like I mentioned earlier. And I was actually able to go back on some PEDs, which I've talked about very briefly in the past. So right now I am on 2 PEDs plus 1 peptide. I've discussed this with my doctor as well. My doctor knows what I am doing, so I am in safe hands. And I recommend anybody who is going to, work with PEDs, number one, have a coach or know what you're doing, right? But I do recommend everybody to have a coach and a doctor so that they can take care of their health. When I made it public about me cutting my hair, I made a video on this. There was a lot of negative feedback. There was a lot of people who felt as though I had betrayed my background. I had betrayed the religion that I have been brought up in. I was an atheist from like 14 years old to 26, like 12 years, over a decade. I was an atheist and never went back to Sikhi anyways. I think the problem people really had was me cutting my hair and me being married to a beautiful Russian. I think people saw like, okay, so this guy cut his hair and he's married to a white girl, and so he's whitewashed. And I'll admit, I am pretty whitewashed. There's no denying that. There's a lot of things about the Punjabi culture that I do not partake in. A lot of the food I don't eat. I don't go to the parties, the weddings. I don't listen to the music. There's just something about that lifestyle and that culture that I didn't really resonate with, and it didn't click with me. And so people came at me essentially. And one thing I've learned recently is the spiritual attack is very real, guys. Like, I'll tell you, like, life gets harder once you start following God's path. Why is that? I have an analogy for this. I heard this somewhere, I don't remember, but assume you're playing a video game with, somebody beside you. You're playing NBA 2K and you're down like 30 points and you're just kind of sitting back in your chair, controller, like whatever, you don't really care. But then you sit towards the edge of your seat and you get serious and you start catching up. Now the game has gone from your 30 points down to only like 7 points down. The guy you're playing against, do you think he's going to just, relax and be like, just let him win? No, he's going to step the game up. He's going to start trying harder so that you don't win, so you can't catch up. The goal for the devil is to keep you as far behind as possible so that you don't win. So when you are going down God's path and you're actually trying and you're catching up, the devil will do everything in his power to make sure that you don't win. And God will only choose his strongest warriors to go through this because he knows that you can get through it. And I believe that God put weed in my life, gave me that addiction so that I could break out of it, find him, and follow his path because he knew I could break that addiction. I wasn't given that problem. I wasn't given that challenge because God wanted me to suffer. I did suffer, but it was for a reason. And the reason was me finding Christ at the right time in my life. Nobody convinced me to quit weed. I just woke up in the middle of the night one day and I made that decision at 2 a.m. on a Thursday night in September 2024. Just like that. Woke up and quit. I don't want to do this anymore. And thinking back to it now, I can say with full conviction that it was God calling me to his kingdom. Anyways, That was a little bit deeper than I thought I'd get into here. If anyone watching this is on that fence of believing, of buying in fully, the fence is made by the devil. You're sitting on the devil's fence. Get off of it and pick a side. How you do one thing is how you do everything. I'll catch you guys in the next one.